Palestinians in the besieged Gaza Strip have held a protest against the Israeli plan to annex parts of the occupied West Bank. A demonstration was held in the southern city of Khan Yunis. Protesters waved flags of the Palestine and resistance movement Hamas. Now, earlier, a senior Hamas official warned the Israeli annexation plan will trigger armed resistance. Musa Abu Marzouk said that Hamas will use all available means to thwart the plan, with armed resistance as one of the main options. Also, Hamas's military wing denounced the plan as a declaration of war against the Palestinians. Spokesman for the Qassam Brigade said Hamas will make Israel bitterly regret its move of annexation. Israel plans to annex settlements in the West Bank as well as the Jordan Valley as part of its U.S. proposed plan. The decision has drawn widespread international condemnation. And now joining us for this news review is Paul Larudee from the Free Palestine Movement, joining us from Berkeley, California, and Saeb Sha'ath, author and Middle East affairs expert, joining us from Belfast. Gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you both to the program here. I guess we could start there in Belfast with you, Mr. Sha'ath. Your thoughts on this ongoing, and we're getting closer to annexation, and really your thoughts on Hamas's recent threats that, hey, we're not going to sit by idly and watch Israel just annex more land here.
See, this is last few days ago, there was during a video UN Security Council session, United Nations, the Arab League, the European members of the General Assembly, the Security Council, and the newcomers from Europe to the General Security. All of them, they called on Israel to abandon the annexation plan and threaten with dangerous consequences. But we know this is fall in deaf ears, since the Zionist entity have the full support of this ultra-right wing administration in the United States of America. So the only thing which is as we witnessed today, the Israelis are afraid of is the Palestinian resistance, and that's why they preempt anything in their moves by attacking Palestinian resistance posts or Palestinian people in there. But at the same time, they understand one fact, that when the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank stopped really and seriously coordinating and liaising with the Zionist entity occupation forces in the West Bank, then the resistance will start hurting really the Zionist settlers and the Zionist entity and their military posts in the West Bank. This is what scares them. From a city like Tulkarem or Jenin in the northwest bank, you can reach the heart of the Zionist entity within less than 10 kilometers. We notice the Palestinian resistance from Gaza. They have rockets which will reach over 120 kilometers. The Palestinian fighters, they know it's the only way to stop this Zionist project is the armed struggle. And that's why we witness a split within the American administration. And there is a team, Kushner teams, want to play the ball as the 30% of the West Bank through the deal of the century will be taken by the Zionist entity and will be sovereign for the Zionist entity, which were the settlements, blocks, the settlers in there. And he wants to guarantee the Arab Gulf states comes in and fit the bill for that. While we have the ambassador, American ambassador Freeman in there, he wants now the Israelis to go for land grab and to annex as much as they can from the land, because he said it, as the New York Times reported it. They cannot guarantee a second term for his president. He's afraid of the whole issue, and the whole deal of the century will be rolled back because Trump won't be elected. So this is a huge, laughable matter within the American administration. So all of them with the Zionist entity are in chaos. And the stronger card in here in the Palestinian hands resistance and the refusal to accept any of the Americans' offers.
Thank you, Saeb. I want to welcome Mr. Paul Larudee to the program. Hello, Paul. Always a pleasure to have you on and get your perspective. Your initial thoughts on this, please.
Well, armed resistance is helpful in changing the mind of Israel and changing the situation on the ground. But it's my thinking that in order to be effective, you need a lot more arms, you need a lot more struggle, you need a lot more resistance. Otherwise, Israel almost welcomes it because it gives them an excuse to hit back and this sort of thing. Obviously, Israel expected this kind of reaction internationally to a certain extent. Maybe they didn't know exactly how much there was going to be. But is anybody threatening anything that means anything? I mean, they talk about dangerous consequences and that they're being condemned all over the place and there are demonstrations and all that sort of thing. I think Israel is prepared to live with that. They're not prepared to live with relations being cut with major nations on the face of the earth, which obviously doesn't seem to be happening. So what is the deterrent to Israel? Why should Israel do anything different from what it's doing if the world is not going to make Israel pay for this? It has to make Israel pay. Israel has to hurt as a consequence of what the international community does. Are they going to hurt? I haven't seen any indication that the international community is going to do something that is going to hurt Israel.
And Mr. Sha'ath, to Paul's point, the Europeans have said that there may be some serious consequences if Israel goes through with this plan of annexation. But you very well know that even if they try to even take the first step towards any kind of sanctions or anything, ultimately, they're going to need Washington on their side, which is their closest ally that they have, and eventually they're going to succumb to Washington's demands to, hey, hands off of Tel Aviv.
I agree with this point. As well as the politicians in the left and in the right are dominated by the Zionist lobbies in Britain or in Germany, and if anybody tries to criticize Israel for the least of the issues, they will be called anti-Semitic and stuff like that. But they forgot one major thing in here. The people today are more aware in West Europe and in the United States of America, and they are in tune to the suffering of the Palestinian people. And the people are prepared to go in the streets and to repeat again the movement which is fought and supported as well the struggle of the ANC and in South Africa, and demanded from their governments to stop supporting the apartheid movement. We know very well the United States of America, Israel, and the UK were 100% behind the white supremacists in South Africa, and the people pressure worked. And the BDS movement, even they tried to issue laws in here to criminalize it. It's winning court orders in Germany and other countries in the West to say it's the right of the people to boycott the Zionist entity. This, coupled with the Palestinian struggle as popular struggle and as armed struggle. We remember the Palestinian the PLO movement being weighed down through this peace process of Oslo, promising them the West Bank and the Gaza Strip, and all became as a joke. They bluffed the whole international community to secure the Zionist entity. And on the other hand, the Palestinians will extend now their struggle to the West Bank in a big way. But even though if the Zionist entity insists in swallowing all the West Bank or most of it, as their former foreign minister Steve Livni today said, this will endanger the state of Israel, will endanger the whole period. This is from an insider, not from outsider. So they are going to be moving toward a very clear apartheid state, which the world cannot support. West Europe cannot entertain that and give the favorite kind of trade deals to the Zionist entity. The people in West Europe will refuse their taxpayers' money to be sent to such ugly entity.
Thank you. And Paul, I'm going to let you get the last word in here. How do you see this thing playing out over the next few weeks?
Until now, I have not seen any real resistance that's going to make a difference, not from the Palestinians and not internationally, unfortunately. The international resistance consists of demonstrations and appeals and all this sort of thing. Nothing concrete, nothing that is going to cause pain to the Israeli government or to the state of Israel. And even the suspension of cooperation between the security forces of the Palestinian Authority and the Israeli security forces. That's a very small thing. You want to make an impact, then suspend the existence of the Palestinian Authority, dissolve the Palestinian Authority, force Israel to deal with different leaders scattered all over the place or no leadership at all. And this might make a major difference. But we're not seeing anything like that. And so I don't know. If I were Netanyahu, I wouldn't be afraid of any of this.
Gentlemen, thank you both for joining us on the program. Paul Larudee from Berkeley, California, and Saeb Sha'ath joining us from Belfast. And viewers, that's a wrap for this segment of your Press TV's News Review. Thank you for tuning in, and goodbye for now.